Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy and your host, Shaq Cook. And welcome back to Season 2, Episode 4 of Keeping It Real with Shaquille. We inquire to inspire. Like I said, I'm your host, Shaq Cook. This is my lovely fiance, Shanna, also the executive producer of this show. And she is here with me tonight for a very special Valentine episode, because Valentine's Day is next week, and it's actually next Wednesday, and so we wanted to do it now versus wait till next Thursday when everything is done. Okay, so first and foremost, make sure that you guys, before I even promote myself, I want to say thank you to everybody who has been supporting us since day one. I mean, your support means the world to us. You know, this show is constantly growing. The views are growing. But most importantly, lives are being impacted. And we have just stretched out and, got outside of our comfort zone and just removed the boundaries. Well, not the boundaries, but just move the borders, okay? And have been bringing in some very cool people. Last week, Miss Amy Davis was on the show, and she brought it, talked about her top mop cleaning services, and I cannot thank her and everybody else enough. Shout out to my church family, Rivermont Baptist Church, who've been supporting me. I mean, it means the world. Make sure that you guys contact me about my services. If you're looking for somebody to do professional modeling, I mean, I'm here. I've been doing this for a while. We've actually been doing this for a while together. Make sure that you guys contact me for motivational speaking. I'm looking forward to going to the school system, the libraries. I want to invest in the kids and the teenagers and motivate them to fulfill God's will in their life and to accomplish their goals and their dreams. Also, I'm also doing classes right now, meetings on entrepreneurship. I do it every single Friday, and I'm telling you guys, it is great, and it's helping other people grow as well as myself grow. So, special shout out to my brother DJ Robinson. I'm rocking the Thrive shirt tonight. It is his birthday.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, DJ! Look, I love you, bro. Happy 25th. I've been wishing DJ a happy birthday for the past 20 years. So it's been 2 decades since I've been wishing you happy birthday, and I got 100 more years to go. And last but not least, make sure that you guys comment questions as we go on, because at the end of the show, we will have a Q&A session, and we want to answer all of you guys' questions. Feel free, ask whatever you want. I mean, we're gonna bring it. Yeah. We're getting ready to bring it tonight. So, without a doubt, let's go ahead and jump into it.
Yeah.
All right. So tonight's topic is love is in the air, and Shanna and I, you guys know that we're engaged and we're getting married in July, July 21st. Woo! And we wanted to talk to you guys about love and finding the right one. And there are going to be 4 subtopics that we're going to talk from tonight. There are plenty more to add to it, but just for tonight, we're going to talk from 4 subtopics. And let's go ahead and jump into it. The first one that we want to talk about is identity. It is very important before you consider a real life, long-lasting relationship to know your identity and to know who you are, to know who God says you are. And the reason why, there are plenty of reasons why, but one in particular, because when we don't know our true value, we settle for less.
Yes.
Can you guys imagine if I had a brand new Lamborghini? Like, let's say I have a brand new Lamborghini, right? 2018 Lamborghini, and a buyer comes up and I sell it for $10. She's probably going to smack me. And the reason why is because I completely settle for less. Because I know good well that car is worth maybe $300,000 or more. But I completely settle for less. And the reason why is because I probably didn't know the value. And I think that when we actually know our value, we won't settle for less. When you know your true value and who God says you are, you will not even entertain lowball offers. And so it is very important to dig into God's word, know who he says you are, know that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and it is very important to have somebody who is going to embrace that and see that in themselves, because I think personally when you can look at yourself and see the beauty in yourself, then you can embrace the beauty in somebody else. What do you think, Jake?
Yes, I think so too. And Shaq said, just identifying who you are, knowing who you are, no matter what nobody else have to say. You walk with your head held high, with your shoulders pushed back, just knowing who you are. And that's just not, oh, I like my eyes, or I like the way my nose looks. Like, actually knowing who you are, the things you like, the things you love, and definitely have to love about yourself. Like, when you decide that you want to, get into a relationship, and I'm not even meaning a relationship as far as boy girl go. I'm talking about even relationships as far as friendships go. Those are important as well, because here it is. If you don't know who you are, then you're going to be following people and doing things that you shouldn't even be doing because you don't know who you are. Yeah. So just making sure that you keep the identity of who you are, because you won't settle for less. You won't be in relationships or friendships that will, diminish who you are. You don't have to, settle and, do things that you don't want to do, just because, for whatever reason, because you don't have the self-esteem, or because you don't love yourself, or you're looking for somebody else to love you and you haven't even took the time to get to know yourself. Yeah. Those things are very important. I'll never forget that when this person pulled me aside, and I remember, they pointed out, I was like, yo, I don't know what you're doing, but whatever this here right here you got going on, make sure that you're doing it for yourself. And they were replying to like my makeup, my extensions, and all that. Just make sure that, if this is something that you love to do, make sure it's something you love to do, not because you're trying to attract something, because you already have what people are attractive to. So you need to embrace what you already have. And ever since that person pulled me to the office, and I hope that person is watching, because hope they remember that, because that have really stuck with me, as far as, saying like, hey, I'm trying to like spit this life to you real fast. Like, you make sure like whatever you're doing is because you want to do it, not because you're trying to attract other people to whatever you're trying to do. You make sure that, you knowing who you are and why you're doing what you're doing. So I think that's very important, identity and knowing who you are. Yeah,
and that's what actually drew me to her, was just her natural beauty. I'm the type of guy, I hate makeup, I hate extensions, and as you can tell, my lady, she's not wearing makeup and she has a natural puff. But but not only just that, and far more than just being physical, but just naturally, she just, when we first met and we started getting serious with one another, she was just being herself, and I wouldn't want it any other way. Now, obviously, when you're considering dating somebody, there are going to be things that you like and things that you don't like, but regardless, you always embrace who that individual is, and it always starts at home. So with your own identity, knowing who you are, because you won't settle for less, and you will have somebody who will go along with you in what you're trying to do, and won't pull you away from it. Yeah. And that leads to our second point for the night, is desires. Yes. Honestly, you might not have to know everything that you want to do to the T, and that's totally fine. But it is a good idea to know what you want to do and where you want to go in your life prior to getting married and prior to getting into a serious relationship. And the reason why, and I want to talk to you guys about it, for example, with me, I knew before I met Shanna that I wanted to, do my show. Yeah. I wanted to take it to the next level. I wanted to do acting. I wanted to do modeling. And I wanted to be at the highest level possible. And that I wanted to live in California while doing it. And I made up my mind that no matter what, I'm not going to compromise what I desire to do. And I'm not going to compromise what I believe God wants me to do. Okay? And then, ironically, when we first met, we actually met on a movie set because we did a movie together. Yes. And in the movie, ironically again, I was pursuing after her. I was pursuing a relationship after her, and we ended up dating in real life. Yes. But I remember my first night on set, the producer, the director, introduced us to each other, said, hey, talk to each other, get a chance to know each other because you're going to be working with each other. Right. And I started talking to her, and I asked her, said, just the normal questions. What do you want to do? What's your major? What are your desires? Where are you trying to go? And I never forget it. She said that she wanted to do acting. She wanted to do plays, modeling. She wanted her own show, and that she wanted to be in California. Yeah. And I'm like, wait a minute. You want your own show? You want to be in California? Yeah. And I literally told her, I feel like I'm talking to my twin sister. That is literally what I said. And I said, hey, how about you come and be on my show, Keepin' Real with Shaquille? And that's how it started. But do you guys see what I'm trying to say here? Is that what made me notice her, apart from beauty and everything else, was what she wanted. And it was so ironic that what she wanted was very similar to what I wanted. And when one of the keys to finding the individual for you and who you're going to spend the rest of your life with is knowing what you want, and the right person is not going to pull you away from it.
Yes.
The right person is not going to pull you away from God's will in your life. Some way, somehow, it's going to coincide with one another. It's going to go hand in hand some way, somehow. Your individual may be in a completely different field than you. You may be in politics, and your wife may be a nurse or whatever the case may be. But some way, somehow, it will coincide with one another, yes. And you guys will help each other pursue and fulfill your desires and your goals. As you can tell right now, just by watching right now, Shanna doesn't pull me away from Keepin' Real Shaquille. She helps me grow the show. And she's on the show right now. And she's actually the executive producer of the show. So when you don't see her on camera, she's actually behind the camera, making sure that I stay on time, making sure I'm not running over time, making sure that everything is running smoothly. She helps me set up the stage, okay? And she helps me break down the stage, and she gives me constructive criticism. She's only here for my benefit, and I'm only here for her benefit as well. But we help each other with our desires, and something that's very important is to not pull the individual away from what God wants them to do in their goals and their dreams.
Yes, I definitely agree. Yes. One thing Shaq wanted, when we first met, one thing I wanted, before I even go into Shaq, I definitely wanted my man to be in church with me. I'm very active in my church, and I'm very family oriented. So I really wanted my man or my mate to be able to, come alongside and help me grow and help, the vision grow, as far as the things that I wanted to do or what, the things I wanted to go for. So, but it's just funny how also, too, he was looking for, a church and to be very active and to be in Bible study and, and to have the church family and those relationships. So it just so happens that, he got what he wanted, but also it didn't take away from my desire and what I, and actually what we both desire came out of it. So you'll be amazed how, when God makes those, those paths meet, you'll be amazed what comes out of those relationships and what people were looking for and what they're pursuing. Just definitely like what I'm saying and continue to say is that person, no matter friendship or relationship, would not distract you from anything that you're trying to do. Desire is just so much important because we were here and created to, have purpose and to make sure that we're going on and leaving legacy for someone else. So just making sure that, you making sure you have desires. Let's make sure you have desires. Now,
please do.
You can't get on nobody's bandwagon and think that you're supposed to keep moving now. That's not cool. Make sure you have desires as well. And it's an honor, watching Shaq grow from his bedroom to, actually having a set. It's amazing to me, to see him follow his dreams. And even on, I have the desire to finish school, and Shaq pushes me to finish school, even down to he's like, hey, I need you to finish that assignment. And I'm like, nah, I'm good. But he knows that desire is to finish school. And he's making sure, that he's pushing me. He's not distracting me from school. He's making sure that I'm staying on top of my assignments. Even if he has to help me with my assignment, he's definitely making sure that those desires are coming forth. Even down to, I always call him and need his help with things to help out with the church. With, when I have activities going on, he's always there. So just making sure that everything is aligned and, and just staying on the purpose and keeping forth and pressing toward that mark.
Yeah, absolutely. And the point that we're making is that you do not have to compromise.
Right.
Okay, now,
you don't have to compromise.
You don't have to compromise what you believe God put in your heart to fulfill and what you want to do. Now, don't get me wrong. In every relationship, there will be some type of compromise.
Yes,
I'm not. But what I'm saying is, you don't have to completely compromise everything that you want to do,
right,
just to fulfill and make somebody else happy.
Right.
Okay? Because I made my mind up that I wasn't going to compromise. Shayna made her mind up that she was not going to compromise. And in the right timing, our paths crossed. And I met the woman of my dreams, and she met the man of her dreams. Yeah. But I just had to give her a huge shout. I just got to draw in because she's awesome. You know, and she's naturally happy.
Yes.
I'm naturally happy because we both been in relationships where we weren't happy.
Right.
You know, we both been in relationships that failed.
Yes. And
I think that one thing about our past is that it helps us to embrace what we have.
Yes.
Because think about it, if you, for example, if you're so used to not having something for a long period of time and you finally have it, you just appreciate it and you value it. And this kind of leads us into our next topic, which is growth.
Yes.
The right person in your life will help you grow in a couple of ways, and there are plenty of ways, but one, grow spiritually, challenge you to grow spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically. All 4 areas. Shayna challenges me naturally to grow. There are plenty of times, and it's so funny that we talk about this, plenty of times we do not agree with one another. In fact, honestly, I want to say around 98% of the time.
That's a high percentage. That's a high percentage.
All right, 96.
What? They didn't even go there?
90.
Okay, whatever.
All right, listen. All right, so we can't even agree on a percentage. So you guys see what I'm saying, right? But I want to say around majority of the time, we honestly disagree with one another. It's crazy. But it doesn't pull us away from one another. It challenges us to grow and to see life and to see different things through a different lens, from a different perspective. And plenty of times, and just for example, it kind of slipped my mind what I wanted to, the example that I wanted to use. It's something recently that we literally just disagreed on. I don't know, but for example, all right, let's just say if matter of fact, no, I know what. There was this dirt talk that we went to.
Oh yeah.
And and the question was, if somebody, if you make dinner for 10 people and 100 people showed up, would you tell the other 90 people to come back later and feed those 10 people, or would you just try to make enough for all 100? And we disagreed on it to the core.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? But it challenged my thought process. It challenged me to grow, and it challenged me to see things differently. And that's what you want in somebody. You don't want somebody that's going to be a yes man.
Yes.
All the time. Man. I don't think that we get anywhere in life by being around yes men.
Yes.
But real friends and a real person in a relationship that is truly for you will be honest with you.
Yes.
Shanna gives me constructive criticism.
He did.
All the time. And I give her constructive. I don't always want to because I be thinking she's going to pop off on me.
That is not true.
But we give each other constructive criticism all the time. And it's because we love each other that we want to see each other grow. She gives me constructive criticism with the show. Hey, Shaq, watch your time. Watch, your not your language, but more like your speech and your pronunciation. And to be honest, I don't feel like hearing it all the time. Sometimes I even get defensive. I'm like,
yes,
man,
he does.
I'm like, man, she just want to find something to talk about. It is not true. But I can say that because we develop a level of trust and love with one another that we can actually tell each other how we truly feel to help each other grow.
Yes, definitely. And I think a lot of the times that if we are having a disagreement, I think I know for a fact that Shaq and we come from 2 different lifestyles. He's a male, I'm a female. So that already is a problem. We're not going to agree because we definitely see things differently because he's a male and I'm a female. So, but definitely another thing is Shaq was raised basically as the only child. Versus me, I was raised with siblings. I was raised around my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, So Shaq is very selfish.
What?
Kind of, sort of, but not really. But
y'all hear that?
Shaq is a little selfish. Or I'm not going to even say selfish, but he hasn't had to look through the lens of what I've had to look through as far as making sure that I'm looking out for my family, making sure my family looking out for me. We always, it's always been a village. You know, so it always have taken a village to raise us. So the fact that when, like, I have to drop and, you know, have to drop what I'm doing to make sure that family is okay, or make sure that a responsibility is taken care of, or having my calendar open, Shaq doesn't understand that because he hasn't had that. And I don't understand sometimes when he's like, you know, like, well, why you have to do that? Or why are you doing that? You know, I've had to, like, step back and see, like, oh, wow, you know, he hasn't had to deal with the fact of making sure or being responsible for somebody else. But I think that's a cool thing at the same time, because it makes me step back and acknowledge how he feels. And I haven't had to necessarily do that. Granted, I have always had to look out for family, or family always had to look out for me. But it really wasn't, I didn't have time to, like, think about it. It was just do it. Yeah. You know, now I have to, like, actually sit back and think about, like, okay, I have to make sure that he as the man and he as the leader, like, I have to make sure that he's good. You know, and make sure that everything what he's doing, you know, that I'm coinciding in line with what he has going on, because it's not just about me doing this or me doing that, or, you know, it's just about, you know, I have to make sure that he's okay as well. And that is hard. I have to be honest. That is very hard to actually have to step back and walk in somebody else's shoes and have a different perspective. You know, that is very hard. I must say that, but it has become easier, and I'm hoping and praying that it becomes a lot more easy, and I don't have to actually sit and think about it. It's already a thing that's already happening. So it's definitely growth, and growth is not comfortable at all. You know, and even just in that's just an example of growth as far as having to consider, you know, my future husband and our household, you know, and what our household would be, but it's definitely challenging. Yeah. Growth is very hard. I must say it's very uncomfortable, but it definitely helps strengthen our relationship, you know, and establish boundaries. Boundaries are very important. So
yeah, and to kind of go for what she's saying is that, you know, we come from two different backgrounds. I grew up as a single child, so it was just all the attention was on me. So I'm not used to sharing. Yeah. And, you know, part of me struggling with being selfish, you know, like I mentioned a few minutes before, she gives constructive criticism. Her calling me selfish is one of them.
Love you.
I don't always like it, but I know that whatever she tells me is in my best benefit. So if she tells me that, hey, I'm being selfish, then I need to sit down and think about what's going on. And it helps me because, here's the thing, because of her experience, she sees things through a different lens. And because of my experience, I see things through a different lens. For example, if you're at a basketball game, and if I'm sitting at the top row, if I'm sitting in the nosebleed and Shanna's sitting on the court level, and she sees one of the basketball players, let's just say it's LeBron, and she sees this tattoo on his arm, she's like, Shaq, I see this tattoo on his arm. And I'm looking at the same person, but from a different view, and I can't see what she sees. Because we're at two completely different views, because we're at two completely different places. We're in the same place, but she's on ground level, I'm at nosebleed. But if I was to go down to ground level and sit beside her, I can see the same thing that she's talking about. Yeah. And that's the part of stepping in somebody else's shoes to see from their point of view, because it helps you grow. Yeah. And there are plenty of things that I don't understand, but learning to understand. Yes. Because I didn't have to think about anybody else. It was always about myself. And when I got my car, I didn't have to go around picking, you know, somebody up or helping somebody out or whatever the case may be, because I didn't have to think about that because I didn't have other people around me. Right. So it helps me grow personally, because who knows, one day we may have a family and I have to think about multiple people. I will have to think about my kids. I have to think about, you know, baseball practice for little Shaq, ballet practice for little Shanna, and, you know, making sure to get here and get there. And I believe that her experience in her life and what we're going through now and growing will help me as a man and help me to be more mobile and to consider others better than myself. Yeah, I understand. And so, in the last point that we want to talk to you about, and I think we say the best for last, is spiritually. The right person in your life is going to help you grow spiritually. As Shanna mentioned, when we first met, I personally wanted to get more involved in my church. I mean, I was just going. I was a Sunday morning member, and I got a little distracted by work and school, and so I wasn't as active as I wanted to be. And so for the longest time, I was desiring to be active in church, but I didn't know exactly what I could do. And I wanted to go to Bible study, but I didn't have the push. I didn't have nobody pushing me. I was single, I was alone, and I really didn't have the drive to go. But once Shanna and I met and we started hanging out and we started to get more serious about each other, those things came naturally.
Yeah.
Literally, guys, it is like something I've never seen before. We literally been to Bible study on a consistent basis. This year will make 2 years. And we only miss it unless, the only reason why we may miss it is because we might be very busy. She may be busy with school and I may be busy with work.
Yeah.
But apart from that, we are normal Bible study goers. Mm-hmm. And it's just so happened that when I met her, the things that I was designed of God came to pass. The things that I was designed for the longest time for growth in God and for growth in my church community and the body of Christ came to pass once we got together. And that's something that I want you guys to realize and understand where we're coming from, is that the right person is going to help you get there. It's going to push you there and not pull you back. I was looking, like I said, I was looking for an area to grow or an area that I'm specialized in, that I enjoy. Yeah. And I found that at my church, Rivermont Baptist Church, I'm officially the video and audio operator.
Yeah.
I am. And those things came to pass, after Shanna and I started dating. But not only was there room for me in her life, but there was room for me in my church. And I feel right at home. Yeah. And so, guys, seriously, next week is Valentine's Day. I want you guys, whether you're single, whether you're dating, whether you're in a serious relationship, I don't know if you're in a fling or whatever status that you're in, consider these things that we're talking about. Even if you're married, we're getting ready to get married. Yep. And, I think that there are plenty of things that need revision or revisiting or revamping. Right. Think about those things because these are very important. What do you think, babe?
I think you touched it. I think you touched on everything as far as spirituality goes. Yes.
All right. Awesome. Yes. Well, now is that time that we're going to go through and answer questions. And so if you didn't post any questions, make sure that you post something. You can access anything. Feel free. We'll be more than happy to answer. So Shanna, she's going to go through, read a couple of questions or even comments if nobody posted any questions. So what do we have so far?
Well, you have Lady E. She said we have to grow through what we go through. Very true.
Yes.
And Tisha Monique said, what advice do you have for single Christians who are looking for a mate in this day and age?
Well, I think first and foremost, respect. Ladies first.
All right.
Ladies first.
You got me. So the advice for single Christians, as we said earlier, definitely having your identity together first. Never forgetting who you are, so you don't have to compromise, and definitely having that equal yoke, as far as young Christians go, definitely making sure you're on the same page and definitely making sure that, you're just not settling for less. Yeah. I think that is just so important. I think that as a society, we get caught up in social media. Mm-hmm. We get caught up in, as far as things on TV. And we have this, expectation of what the TV has set out for people as far as dating go, that we forget to, invest in ourselves. So definitely invest in yourself first as, if you're looking for a mate. Definitely invest in yourself. And definitely, just not settling in for less. Just making sure, you loving yourself first. And God first, definitely. Yeah. Definitely. And then all those things, once you find yourself in Him, everything else trickles down.
Falls right into place. and to go off of what she's saying, there are plenty of things that I could say for single Christians. One thing I would say is to learn. Learn who you are. Learn about the things that you like. Learn about the things that you don't like. And the way how you find that out is that you try. You try things out. Embrace this season. This season is temporary. So what I like to say is that you don't go out swimming in the middle of January. You go catch pneumonia.
Yeah, right.
Because it's not the season.
Yeah.
Okay, you go swimming in the ocean come June, July, in the summertime. Maybe even spring, but definitely in the summertime. So life comes in seasons, so you have to embrace and get the most out of each season while you can. And so when I was single, I just started focusing on myself and what I wanted to do, and I actually found those things out. And so then I stuck with it, that I'm going to do it. And then when I finally found the one for me, I didn't have to compromise.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for that period of singleness and me going out to discover, I would still be looking. I would still be lost. Yeah. But now.
And another thing too, as far as Christians looking for a mate, if you're looking for a mate and you want to be somebody's husband or you want to be somebody's wife, let's make sure that you're doing those roles as a single person. Mm-hmm. Like, you're not out here, living the single life, quote unquote. Just making sure that you are being that wife and you are being that husband. You're walking in what you want. If you're praying for a husband or you're praying for a wife, making sure you're walking, making sure you're preparing yourself to be somebody's husband and to be somebody's wife. Yes. That is just so important, because everybody wants to be married, but everybody don't want to be their wife and everybody don't want to be their husband. They just want to have that title. Yep. And being single, you have to still work on those things. Your mate coming inside, that just don't flow. That's not flowing. Yes. Immediately. Granted, those things will be, those things would be strengthening, as far as your weaknesses or your strengths to be strengthening. But just making sure that, hey, I want to be somebody's wife one day, so I'm going to make sure that I don't indulge in certain things. I'll make sure I'm not indulging in certain conversations, or I'm not indulging in certain things to wear. Or if I want to be somebody's husband, same thing. I'm not indulging in certain things. I'm staying out of certain conversations. Just making sure, like, if you want to be somebody's wife one day, you want to be somebody's husband, just making sure that you're walking in that. Yeah, I think that's important.
It's very important. And, I've been praying for the Shanna for 3 years on a consistent basis. I've been praying for the Shanna for 3 years. And so I got to the point, like I said, to not compromise. I think that one thing for sure, and I'm going to just say this. Being lonely, it sucks. God says in His Word that it's not good for man to be alone, so that's why He gave Adam Eve. But in this time of being single, realize that you're never alone. Make sure that you be active in being engaged with people who are, trying to go to the next level, whatever that they're trying to do, not pull you back. If you want to be a husband, be around men who are husbands. When I was single, I went to a men's group, and majority of the men were husbands, and I sat there and I learned something that I learned: the 3 P's: priest, provider, protector, and that's something that I value. But that's what I learned out of the men's group around men, Christian men who are husbands. So if you want to be something, you need to be around the people who are in that field or doing what you want to do. Yeah. A bug just flew by here.
That's funny.
Did y'all see that? Yeah. So what other questions do we have?
I don't see.
I don't want to get off without answering any questions. So, what comments? How about that? Comments, and then we'll go ahead and end the show. So, let's just see here. Teacher Monique says, "Sounds like covenant relationship to me." Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay, so. Teacher Monique asks, how has being an active spiritual person helped or hindered your dating pursuits?
You go first.
All right, so I'll take the role of this time. So all right, so I have to read it again so I can make sure I'm answering right. So, how has being an active spiritual person helped or hindered your dating pursuits? It helped me to realize that I want somebody that's doing the same thing. Lecrae, he said this. He said that the right person, when that person comes in your life, they see you running a race, or you may see that person running a race, and you guys are running the same race, and when you connect, you just run that same race together. And so being active, being spiritually active, has helped me realize that I want somebody that's doing the same thing, if not more. And then when I found that person, as you guys listened to what we said earlier, boom, those things that I wanted spiritually, I started to get. Going to Bible study, she helped me pursue those things. Being active in my church, she helped me pursue those things. But if I didn't spend that time of singleness searching out and trying to find those things out or being active, I don't think that I would truly appreciate what I do have right now. Nor do I think that I would have identified what I would have been looking for. And so when you identify what you're looking for, when you find it, you can confirm it. Yeah. I'm going to say that one more time. I think that was deep. I felt that. When you identify what you're looking for, when you find it, you will confirm it. So if I'm looking online for this car and I read everything about it and I know what it is, when I finally get to the dealership, if somebody tries to show me something different, I can say, no, that is not it.
Yeah.
That is not it. But when I see it, I say, that's the one. Daniel, son, that's the one.
You're funny. Yeah. On my behalf, I think that being an active spiritual person has helped and hindered. Honestly, and I don't even mean hinder and it could be helped. I don't even mean hinder in a negative way. I mean, I think that some of my relationships, has been cut off, or, especially friendships rather, has been cut off, or relationships definitely, as the more that I strive for God was showing me about, like, some people, like, some of those people aren't good for you. So, therefore, like, the more you go deeper into me, the more I'm going to reveal some things to you. Mm-hmm. And when, sometimes when those things are revealed, you don't want to see it, But I honestly can say that it might have hindered some relationships because some people might not have wanted to go the way that I was wanting to go or pursue the things that I wanted to pursue. But it also helped because those people didn't belong in the where I was going.
Yeah, I like to say it as for example, if you're riding in your car and it's a two-seater, everybody can't fit because everybody's not going in the same direction that you're going. So part of being single is a good thing about being single is to be able to identify where you're going so that when that person does come in that car with you, that you're staying on track. Yes. That you guys are going to the same destination.
Yes. And Sheila Shea says, is canceling before marriage effective? Well, first she asks, so would you guys advise canceling before marriage? And then she asks, is canceling before marriage effective? And have you had any experience in this area?
It's very effective. We're actually going through marriage counseling right now.
Yes, so to answer your first question.
Yes.
Yes, we advise marriage counseling. Yes.
Yeah, and even pre-engagement counseling if you can.
Yes.
To help you identify some things before you put the ring on.
Yes.
But what was the second part of that question?
The second part of the question was, is canceling before marriage effective, and have you had any experience in this area? So, to answer that question, we are getting experience now. Yeah. So, yes, is it effective? It is very important. I actually honor people that do not marry people unless they've been through marriage counseling. Yeah. I think it's very important. I think it's very effective. I think those things that we are learning and will learn will help us in the long run when we're like 70 years old and we're married for 70-some years.
And matter of fact, we just had our first marriage counseling session a few weeks ago, and something that we learned was that you have to take care of yourself so that you can take care of your spouse.
Yes.
And that kind of goes along with what we were talking about tonight. And a lot of you not, that came into pass about a week and a half. Mm-hmm. After our first session, I said, that I wanted to eat healthy and I wanted to get back fit and, be the best me. But now, being healthy, eating healthy, and being fit has a whole new purpose. I want to make sure that I'm in the best position so that if my wife is sick or if she's hurting or whatever the case may be, that I have everything that I need to help her get what she needs. And this past weekend, she wasn't feeling well, Yeah. So, and literally, we just talked about that in marriage counseling, and a week and a half later, she wasn't feeling well. So it was really good for me to have everything that I needed to have my stuff in order so that I can make sure that she's good. If she needed to go to the doctor for whatever reason, I have gas in the car to make sure that she gets there. I have oil in the car to make sure we don't break down on the side of the road. So I'm making sure that my things are in order, not just to be in order, but to make sure that whatever she needs, I can fulfill those.
Yes, that's right.
All right. So, guys, we actually went a lot over time.
Yes, we did.
We went 10 minutes over time, but I hope that you guys enjoyed it.
Yes.
I enjoyed it. This Q&A session was great. thank you guys for tuning in. I mean, we truly do appreciate it. Make sure that you guys are sharing these posts. Make sure that you guys are going to my YouTube page, spreading the word about this show because we want it to grow. And for those of you who are single or married or recently married or, been in a relationship or whatever, well, I hope that you found something in this message that would encourage you. And God bless you tonight. Go Carolina, beat Duke. I had to throw that in there. Beat Duke. But next week, enjoy Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Whether you're single or whether you are married, Valentine's Day for 3 years was a bad day for me because I was alone. But the past few years, I found ways to make it active and hang out with my boys and to make something fun out of it. So whoever you're going to be with this Valentine's Day, enjoy it. Make the most out of it. And if you're alone, just realize that, hey, if it's God's will, it won't be like that forever. So just embrace the time because we're getting ready to celebrate our second Valentine's Day.
Yes. And thank you all for tuning in. I really enjoy myself on Keeping It Real Shaquille. And I'm looking forward to being back behind the camera. But I really enjoy myself here tonight. And thank you all for tuning in with your questions and everything.
All right, guys. Make sure to tune in next week on Keeping It Real with Shaquille, where we inquire to inspire. God bless you guys. Have a great weekend. And we will see you again next week.